Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is your girl Angel from Simply Angel Tia. In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to crochet this table mat. As you can see here, this is one that I've already completed. Okay, so just to zoom out like this and kind of bring it in so you guys can see the whole thing. This is what it looks like. So this is what I'm showing you how to do today. It's quite big, which I like, especially if you're going to be using it on a glass table. That way, if you have your plate in the middle, you have parts of it that you can use for a cup as well, so they can actually serve as a coaster as well. But with that said, I actually made a coaster as well, which is that here, and you can use this on the side as well. In case you're not using the table mat, you could just use this as a coaster for your table, either for a bowl or a plate, just as individual like that. And of course, as you've seen here, it is made out of the hexagon shape. And for those of you who don't know what a hexagon shape is, it's a shape that has 6 sides. So if you look at the piece that I'm holding here, there's 6 sides total. So let me just take the big guy out so you can see clearly. Okay, so as you can see here, there is side 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, that's why we call it a hexagon. So for my table mat here, I made 7 pieces like this, and then I connected them all together to make the hexagon table mat shape. Okay. Alright, so if you're interested to make this with me today, please stay on the video and I'll go ahead and get started. So go get your stuff and let's get started. Alright guys, so before we get started, I'll show you the materials that I used for this project. So the first thing is yarn. So this is the yarn that I used for this project. Now the one thing I will tell you is that I don't know actually what this yarn is, because I've had this yarn for quite a while, but I can definitely tell you that it's a lightweight. It's a really small, it's probably a lightweight number 3, maybe even 2 if there's such thing. But it's really thin, and of course it's navy blue, so as you can see, that's the color. I just don't know what the information is, because I've had this, like I said, for a few years now. Okay, so I'll be using this for the body of the project. So as you can see, that's the yarn that I used for the body of the hexagon shape here. And then I'm also using this white color. Sorry for the light there. I'm also using this white color for the final row. So this row here that I did is made out of this yarn. Okay, and this one here is Pound of Love by Lions Brand. So okay, and the other thing that I'm using is I'm actually using these 2 crochet sizes here, crochet hook sizes. The one that I'm using with this blue yarn is 4.25 millimeter. You can also use a 4.5 or a 4. And then to add on this color here, because it's a little bit of a thicker yarn, I switched the hook to a 5. Okay, so this is optional. You can use the same one if you want, but for me, I kind of prefer to switch the hook to this bigger size. And then of course you will need your darning needle to be able to sew in all of your shapes together to make your table mat. Okay, all right, so let's get started. Okay guys, so to get this project started, the first thing I'll be using is I will make a magic circle. And for me to do a magic circle, I just take the I leave a hanging yarn like this, and then I loop it around my thumb, just like I was going to do a slip knot. And then I slide it off my hand, my finger. I take my crochet hook, I insert it in the circle, I yarn over, I bring it through the loop, and then I do a chain 1. Okay, so this is my magic circle here. So this little circle here is my magic circle. And then what I will do from here is I will do 12 double crochets in that magic circle. So that is 1. And the chain 1 that I just did does not count as a stitch. Okay, so you're doing 12 total. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is my 12 double crochets in the magic circle. And now that I have that, I can go ahead and pull these hanging yarn just to close the hole like that. Okay, so as you can see, the space in the middle is shut, and so I'm going to continue with row 2, and I'm going to go right into, so this is the first double crochet stitch here, and to separate this first double crochet and the second double crochet, in between there I am going to do a double crochet in there, and then another double crochet in that same space. So I have 2 double crochets between the first double crochet and the second double crochet. Okay, and then I'm going to move on to the next stitch, and I'm going to do 1 double crochet in the next stitch, and then I'm going to move on to the next stitch and do 2 double crochets in that stitch. So that's 1 and 2, and then in the next stitch I'm going to do 1 double crochet. Then in the next stitch I'm going to do 2 double crochets. Okay, so you're going to do this until you get to the end of this row. When you get to the end, then we go ahead and proceed to the proceed with the third row. Okay guys, so I just came to the end of my second row here, and as you can see I have 1 more double crochet to do in this stitch here. And then now to start row 3, okay, on top of the first double crochet, 2 double crochet stitches that I did from the previous row, I'm going to do 2 double crochet stitches on that same stitch there. Okay, and so what I do from this point on, as you can see, your work is bending in like this. So what I do after each row is in each of the spaces where you did 2 double crochets together, I just go in and I just stretch the work so I can make it flatter. Okay, so you just go ahead and kind of move your hands, so then you kind of flatten it like that, instead of it kind of looking like a little bit of like a bucket. You just kind of stretch it out so that it looks flat. So that is the end of my second row, and then I'm going to go ahead and continue with my third row. So we did our 2 double crochets in this stitch here, which is the first stitch of the third row. So then I'm going to continue by doing a double crochet in the next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch, and then on top of the 2 double crochets from the previous row, we do 2 double crochets in that same stitch. Okay, so that's 1 and 2, and then in the next 2 stitches we do 1 double crochet in each stitch, and then in the next stitch we're going to do 2 double crochets together, and then in the next 2 stitches we do 1 double crochet in each stitch. And again, you're going to continue with this pattern until you end the third row, and when you get to the end of this third row, come back and I'll show you what to do for row 4. Okay guys, so I have ended my third row here. So again, the beginning of my third row is where I did 2 double crochets on top here. So what I'll do again, like I said, is we're just gonna stretch our work. So where I have 2 double crochet stitches and where I have the next 2 double crochet stitches, I'm going to hold those 2 pieces together and just stretch it. Then I'm going to move on to the next one and do the same. Okay, so if your work is bending and it's looking like a bucket or like a hat, don't worry about it. This work will end up flattening. The more rows you do, it will get flatter, but do not forget to do this as you go, because this work is actually a spiral. I don't know if you guys have noticed, it's actually a work that goes in a circle. So if you see this here, it goes like this and then it starts to move like this. So it's actually not you don't do a full complete circle and then do the next circle. You actually spiral it like this. Okay, so because of that, it tends to just kind of bend in a little bit. So you just have to keep stretching it out. So as you can see, as soon as you stretch it out, it stays flat like that. But then when you do your next row, it's going to bend like this, and then you're just going to straighten it. As the more you do the more rows you do, the more flatter it's gonna get. Okay, so this was the end of row 3. So to go ahead and start your row 4, you're going to repeat the same thing. So in this case, you're just putting a single crochet on top of each stitch that is a single crochet, a double crochet, and then when you get on top of the double crochet from the previous row, as you can see here, you're going to go ahead and do 2 double crochets in that space, and then continue to do continue to do 1 double crochet in each stitch until you get to the next double crochet stitch, and then you do the same there, and you continue to do that until you get to the number of rows that you're looking for. So for my project, for this project here, I did 8 rows for this blue color. Okay, so you're going to do 8 rows, and when you get back to the beginning of the stitch, so as you can see here, this is where my row started here, and then it kept going like this. Okay, and then when I got to my row 8, I stop, and then I will change the color. So go ahead and do the number of rows that you desire. In my case, I'm going to do 5 more, and then when I finish 5 rows after this one, then I'm going to come back and show you how to change color, and we will do 1 more row of the white color. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and I'll see you guys when you get to the number of rows that you desire for your projects. See you in a bit. Okay guys, so I have completed my 8 rows of this hexagon project here. So as you can see, that is, like I said, if you continue to go and just keep stretching these corners as you go, you will end up it's flat like this. So I didn't even have to do the stretching at this point, it just got flat on its own. So yeah, so we'll go ahead and cut this color here. So I'll take my scissors and I'll cut it right here. Okay, and then I will bring in my color. So at this point you can just use any color to do, you can either leave it as just one color like that, but because this was a dark blue for me, I wanted to kind of brighten it up by doing 1 extra row of the bright color. So that's up to you if you want to do that. If you want to just do 1 solid color for the whole project, you can also do that. So that is more like a preference thing. Okay, and also if you wanted to do this in just a completely different color and keep it as 1 color, then that's up to you as well. Okay, all right, so I'm going to add this color, and like I said, this color is a little bit thicker than the other color that I was using. So what I am going to do is I'm going to switch my crochet hook to the 5mm crochet hook as opposed to these 4.25mm crochet hook that I used for this part. Okay, and of course if you're using the same size yarn, then you don't have to switch your crochet hook sizes. All right, so from here I am just going to undo this 1 final double crochet here, and I'm going to do it again, but instead of finishing it completely, I'm going to stop here like this. So as you see, I yarned and pull over 1, and then I have 2 to go. So to finish it through, I am going to just connect my white. This is actually more like cream color. I'm going to connect the cream color like this, and then I'm going to pull the blue and the white just to make it tighter. And now that I have that, I'm going to go ahead and do my first double crochet in the very next stitch after that. Okay, so in this way here, we're literally just continuing the same way that we continue with this project, except we just change color after the 8th row, and we're doing 1 final color, so row 9 of a different color. Okay, so again, this is up to you. You can also choose to do half of the colors in half of the rows in this in 1 color, and then do half of the rows with the other color. So for me, I just did 1 row of this light color just to make it a little bit brighter. Okay, so as you can see here, I'm just doing my double crochet stitches, and then when I get on top of the double crochet that I've been doing for this, the one of the corners, I'm going to do 2 double crochets in the same stitch. Okay, just like that, and then I'm going to continue doing 1 double crochet stitch in each stitch until I get to my next corner, and on top of that corner, of course, which is my double crochet in 1 stitch corner, then I'm going to do that there, and then just continue around this project until I get back to this side here. When I get to here, then I will come back to show you how to finish it off here, and then you pretty much just have to create multiples of these and then connect them up. Okay, so go ahead and finish your 1 row until you get back to the end here of this color, and when you get to the end, I will come back to show you how to fasten it off and finish it off. Okay guys, so I have reached the end of this 9th row, which is the first row or the only row of this cream color. Okay, so as you can see here, I just finished doing 2 double crochets in the final stitch, and then what I'm going to do now, just to finish it off, is I'm going to do just on top, so we're not going from the bottom anymore like we have been doing our project. Just between the stitches here, I'm going to do a single crochet in this stitch, and then in the next stitch I'm going to do a slip stitch, and then in the next stitch I'm going to do a slip stitch. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm just finishing off this corner so that it doesn't continue to become the next row, because if I do another double crochet then it just kind of starts another row. So this is all I'm going to do here. Okay, now because this is just a sample, I'm not going to cut off my yarn here because I would like to use this yarn for something else. But what you would do here is that you will just then fasten these off and cut the yarn off, and then you will just end up with your project like that, which is, you know, after you cut off the yarn. So that is pretty much your hexagon shape here. Okay, and so when you bring the other one in, so what I did is then I just took, you know, like, so you'll make 7 of this to make one of this here. To make one of these table mat, you need 7 of this total. Okay, so when you have your 7 pieces like this, then you go ahead and place one in the center, and then you just connect it to each of the corners of the outside ones, and then you go ahead and I'm just gonna brighten it up a little bit here, and then you go ahead and connect them also, then it will just end up looking like this, right? So that's pretty much all you're doing. So I'm not going to show you how to actually do the connection, but you will grab your darning needle and then you will just line up your edges like this and, you know, join it here. However, whatever method you want to use to join, what I did was I just took my darning needle and I matched up my stitches, and because you do them all exactly the same, which is identical, you should have exactly the same number of stitches with each one of them. And then you will just sew them here, and you go to the next stitch, you sew it, and you connect this part here. You take another piece, you put it here, you do the same until you have your hexagon, 7 hexagons connected into one hexagon. Okay, and for the ones that you're using as coasters, for example, this one is one I'm using as a coaster, then after you do that final row, then you just cut the yarn off, fasten it off, weave it in, and then you just leave it like this. Okay, so that's pretty much it here, you guys. So I'm not going to waste any more of your time. Go ahead and make all of your pieces, and you can make multiples of these if you want. Let's say you have a big dining table in the house that you usually, you know, if you're having a party and you have a lot of people over and you're making a whole bunch of them, you can make, you know, like a few of these, and you can have some as like table runners, where you can have them in the middle of your table so you can put your hot dishes on here, or you can use them for actually people to put their plate on and be able to eat with it. Okay, all right, so that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this project with me. Thank you so much for watching, and for those of you who haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and do so, and please don't forget to like, comment, and hit the notification bell. All right, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Ciao, ciao.